All right, so hopefully you found that video a little bit troubling. The idea that under hypnosis, this man's daughter suddenly remembered witnessing him murdering somebody. And all sorts of evidence shows that it couldn't have been him because he has receipts or different locations where he was. But he really had to struggle to get out from underneath this cloud of his daughter's accusations that she really believed because they emerged under hypnosis. A lot of people believe that if something emerges under hypnosis, that it's real, that we finally have gotten to whatever your brain might have been hiding, and this is we are finally seeing the truth. And that's not necessarily the case with hypnosis. People are very suggestible while they're under hypnosis. And so the kinds of questions that are asked are, are they suggestive questions? Are they questions that are leading the hypnotized person? And sometimes people are hypnotized. They're told, well, you're not going to remember what went on during the hypnosis. So they're not surprised that they don't remember what happened. And then they let their hypnotist, their therapist usually, tell them what occurred under hypnosis. And there have been therapists who have been found to have just made up stuff to make the hypnotized person believe that they had said things that they hadn't even said. So no longer is hypnosis information that came out only through hypnosis admissible in court because of these kinds of problems. So previously, hypnotic testimony had been allowed, and it I think in all 50 states is no longer allowed. So I've kind of reminded us what our three issues are that are under the control of the legal system. We've got suggestive questioning, lineup procedures, and hypnosis. So what can happen when these system variables are in place is we can see that the eyewitness's memory actually experiences what's called overwriting, where this new information that has come up through the suggestive questioning or through the lineup procedure or through things that we learned that we supposedly said under hypnosis, as that stuff comes up, it actually overwrites our existing memory for the event. It's not exactly like erasing a cassette tape and putting a new piece of information on it. It's not exactly like that. It's more like the original information becomes inaccessible and the new information is what is much more easily retrieved. So once it's been established, now we go to court and the things that I retrieve most easily will be the things that I sort of overwrote during my time in the legal system. And so that information could be completely wrong, but I completely believe it because as far as I'm aware, that's my memory, right? So through that process of overwriting, we actually update the person's memory. It's also possible that the eyewitness will forget aspects of the event, usually because not true forgetting, like we talk about it in cognitive psychology, but more like it never got fully encoded. It never truly got stored into their memories. So as far as they're aware, only that which did get encoded is what happened. And it might be information that they picked up at the police station or in the subsequent interactions with other people who were questioning them or whatever. And they don't have the original memories because they never fully encoded them. So they may not really remember what the perpetrator looks like, or they might not really remember what was said, or they might not really remember how many stops were made during the kidnapping or other kinds of things because they didn't fully encode it. And then source monitoring. This is a type of memory error where we can't really distinguish our original memory from new information that's been added to it later. We can't remember if what we're retrieving right now was part of the original encoding or stuff that got placed into our memories somehow later, either by talking with our friends about what we experienced and we start to embellish and draw inferences and we start to say, well, he must have done that because this is what ended up happening afterwards. But we didn't really remember whether he did that or not. We only say he must have done that. And then by the end, we're like, obviously he did it. Right? And we have completely forgotten that actually started out as an inference. It didn't start out as something that actually, we independently witnessed or whatever. So these three kinds of errors can contribute to ultimately the eyewitness being completely comfortable and confident that what they're saying is accurate when in fact it's not. So these are some of those things that can happen while under the control of the legal system that can contribute to memory errors in the witness. Now, another really important issue for social psychology with regard to the legal system is how to interrogate suspects in ways that will elicit good information and not cause false confessions. Because we don't need people to confess to something that they didn't do and leave now they're being punished for something they didn't do. And the person who did it is still out to possibly do it again to somebody else, right? So we don't need people confessing to crimes they didn't commit. We need people confessing when they did do the crime. We need to get good information out of our suspects so that we can eliminate people who aren't really the perpetrator and pursue those who are. But a lot of times people are really shocked to think, how could anybody ever confess to something that they didn't do? Right? Like, how does anybody ever even do that? Well, this guy's story is really compelling, and I think you'll get a little bit of insight into how a person can confess to something that they didn't actually do.